Hi, Charlene.
Hello.
So we've been working together now for almost 5 years, but you've been here leading worship at St. Andrew's for what, about
20 years?
20 years, yeah. Now, what people may not know is you're not from the city, you're not from the province, you're not even from the country. So how on earth did you end up here?
The journey started back in Pasadena, California. My husband was a student at Fuller Theological Seminary, and I was on staff there. He was looking for his first pastoral ministry job, and the school was contacted by a church in Dawson Creek, British Columbia. So we started the journey heading north, and the Lord opened up the doors, which led us to the north.
Quite the change, hey? California to
Dramatic.
Dawson Creek? Wow.
Yes, we ministered there for 14 years. All three of our sons were born there. Mm-hmm. And were born with cleft lip and palate issues.
Okay,
and that took us many trips down to Children's Hospital and back.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we've talked about this before, Charlene. Like every family has its challenges, but you know that's a unique challenge. You mentioned, you know, all three of your children face this, and it involved many surgeries and a lot of time, a lot of concern, a lot of attention. Mm-hmm. Can you just share a little bit more about this? I know some people, like, they would think of, you know, child has a cleft palate, they have a surgery and they're good to go, but it's not that simple, is it?
It's not. The severity changes with each birth of child, and there are basically two ways of coming out to end up with clefting. One is, of course, genetic, which is our situation, and the other is environmentally caused. And it is an issue with head. Mostly it can involve other parts of the body as well, but mostly with the head, and it is a midline situation. So it is ear, nose, and throat mostly. Mm-hmm. And it can involve all three issues, and mm-hmm. it may concentrate in one area or another. Mm-hmm. It takes many surgeries generally to repair the damage, if you will. And with our middle son, he basically got the best of the whole situation. Yeah. And his was basically 2 surgeries, and but 3 sets of braces. So as the head grows, the mouth grows, and things change. Yeah. Our eldest and youngest sons were very similar, and had speech issues because they just couldn't say the sounds, like
couldn't form the
that's
sounds,
right.
Yeah.
That's right. Our youngest son, his teeth were coming through his palate, which meant that his tongue couldn't touch his palate and different sounds that he needed to make. So he's gone through probably the most in the way of speech is concerned.
And how many surgeries did the other boys have?
Our eldest son, who was the most severe, he was called a bilateral cleft lip and palate, which means both sides of the mouth. And he's had probably about 13 surgeries.
Over how many years?
Well, his last one, he was grade 12.
Oh my goodness.
And he was 2 weeks old when we first went to Children's Hospital, and he was 3 months old when his first surgery took place.
So you are no stranger to hospitals, to doctors, to recovery.
That's right. Oh. That's right. When the kids are so little and they get the surgeries done at an early point in their life, they bounce back so quickly. Mm-hmm. And they don't remember what they've gone through. So going into the next surgery is not a big issue for them. Mm-hmm. And our boys I never had to sit down and discuss with them and talk them into going into the surgery. Children's Hospital is an amazing place, and for us it was home away from home.
Okay.
And the kids looked forward to going there because there were different things there than what we had at home.
Okay.
And they seemed to thrive almost in that environment.
So it was a supportive place for you?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely supportive, yes.
Now, I imagine though, you know, I've got 2 girls and life seems very busy with 3 boys and life and all the medical challenges. How did you manage? Like, how did you get through this? You know, you and Harold, how did you manage all these extra stresses and concerns? I mean, being a parent makes you vulnerable, and you know, it puts a big question mark every time, you know, someone goes into the hospital, even though, you know, they may be looking forward to it.
We had a very supportive family. My husband's brother, just younger than him, was born with a cleft lip and palate. So their family had dealt with the issues of clefting all the way up until he was 21 years old.
Oh, wow.
And I was born with a cleft lip, and so we had the family support from my side of the family, as well as my mother, we found out later, had a sister who was born with spina bifida.
Oh my goodness.
And that's a midline issue as well. So everybody in the family knew about it and was supportive to us, always asking, how are things going? How are the boys doing? How are you holding up? And it was very supportive, and the doctors and the nurses, everybody was just right in our corner all the time.
So your family was part of that support network for you,
Yes.
and that family history really helped. And I'm sure you see God's work in that. Are there other ways that you can sort of see God's handiwork in your lives?
When we got involved with Children's Hospital, when our eldest son, Michael, was born, before we left the hospital, we were notified that another baby in Dawson Creek had been born with a cleft lip and palate. And their situation was that there was no history in the family. And the family was concerned. They didn't know what was coming next or what to expect. Would the child develop properly? And we were given that word, and we just headed for home. And we got home, changed our clothes, grabbed pictures, and ran out the door to the hospital and met the mom and the baby's doctor. And we were able to talk with them and help them through the questions, the unknown kinds of things. And because our son had already gone through part of the process, the parents were able to then look at our child, see pictures of where we'd started, and now this is after the first surgery and the difference between the two. So it gave them hope. We became liaisons for Children's Hospital at the Cleft Palate Clinic because we were in this process, and there were families up north that even the doctors had never seen this before.
So your challenges were actually used to bless other people.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
God does amazing things with some of our greatest sorrows. Now, your boys are grown up, they're active, they've got interesting careers and hobbies, and you must be proud of who they become and happy to see them healthy and strong. What would you say to a parent who's maybe looking at their child and they're facing some surgeries, that they have a physical challenge awaiting them? What sort of advice might you give to one of those parents?
The best thing you can do is to love your child, to be supportive of them, to become their advocate, to ask questions, to ask for answers. And to be there, to talk with the doctors, to talk with the nurses, to talk with the specialists, and to follow through. Sometimes that gets hard because we get weary. And it's so important that we not drop the ball, because these are lives we're talking about, precious lives. And God loves us all, and He wants to see the best for us. So the best we can be for our kids is all we can do.
Yeah. And as you've described, you know, God was with you and helping you along through your family, through showing you ways that this could bless others.
Yeah. It's been quite a journey. And yet we've known that the Lord was on our side the whole time. And there wasn't a day that we faced where we faced it alone.
Yeah. Well, that's an encouraging word. Thank you for sharing this with us, Charlene.
You're welcome.